Alright, global players, if you skipped the recent Kahono and Kyoto banner, well then it might have just paid off for you, because we now officially know what the Season 3 units are going to be. It is going to be Clover Academy units. We weren't sure at first, because we obviously did change the way the seasons were released from JP and KR to global, and we got rid of, obviously, Summer Yuno and Summer Vanessa, who still haven't made an appearance in the game. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with them yet. If we find out, I will be sure to let you guys know, but hopefully we do get them in the game eventually. I assume they'll be free to play at some point along the lines, but yeah, I am super hyped for these characters, and this image is courtesy of Black Clover Mobile. They got this image from another account that posts before the global Twitter post, which is why it's in a different language, okay? And so I'm just super hyped to be able to pull for this Fuegoleon. He's really good. For Mommy Charlotte, who is insanely good. This might be the best unit right here. And then also for Jack, who is decent. Like, he's not as good as the others, so like if there's any character you didn't want on this banner, technically it's Jack, but he still has his uses. And let me just say, he is like immensely better than the general pool Jack, who is just like absolute garbage dookie. Okay, so I mean, general pool Jack has his uses, he's just hard to use. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the kits for these characters here. So we'll start with my favorite, Clover Academy Charlotte, and her primary skill 1, is called Rapid Thorns, and this swiftly raises thorns from the ground, dealing damage to an enemy. It applies counterattack to the ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. That can be very good. Okay, having counterattack up all the time with your primary skill is pretty sick, honestly. And then for her skill 2, Preview and Review, Charlotte assigns homework to all allies, granting them a buff. This grants all allies a 40% increased all attack for 2 turns. That is really good, because that means she is going to be a buffer for both attack and magic attack, and that also means she can be paired with pretty much any attack unit that you want, which is insanely good. So giving counterattack and increasing magic attack and attack for your attack units. That's absolutely crazy, right? Amazing support. And then for the special skill, Clover Academy's Instructor Skills grants all allies a 60% chance to counterattack for 1 turn. I wish that was higher. That would be so much cooler if it was higher, right? But you do get it higher as you upgrade it, and it becomes a 100% chance when you upgrade the skill. So like when we do a build for this character, obviously you want to upgrade this skill first, because it becomes a 100% chance to counterattack, and that is absolutely insane. Having all of your characters have counterattack is nuts. So counterattack on the special skill, increased attack on the secondary skill, and then more counterattack on the first skill. It doesn't get much better than that. And then for her combined skill, applies a buff to all allies, applies 12% fortify to all allies, not just to the ally that you're doing the combo attack with, but to every ally. And you can increase the amount of fortification you're doing, so you could use her as a counterattack character or a tank character, as well as an increase all attack character. Yo, it's so good. It's so good, right? And then her unique passive, when all allies belong to the technique type, inflicts silence for 1 turn on the enemy at the start of the battle, which is just even more crazy, right? So if you run her with other units of the same type, she's just going to be nuts. She's really good. And then for the regular passive, game 1 skill point when attacked, which is just like, I can't get over how good she is. She's really good, like insanely good, guys. I can't stress that enough. So if there was a character, I'll tell you right now, that you want to use your key on for the gate, it is going to be this Charlotte right here. You definitely want to use it for her. Okay, I would recommend her above anyone else. The only other close option would be this Fuegoleon, but like, I still think Charlotte's better, okay? But Clover Academy Fuegoleon is still really cool. So his skill 1 is called Blazing Passion. It inflicts burn on an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns. Okay, that's good for the burn teams. And then his skill 2, Zealous Instruction, conjures an enormous pillar of flame, dealing damage to an enemy, inflicts burn on an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns. And if the enemy is afflicted with a burn already, it will dispel the barrier from the enemy before attacking, which that's right there what makes him good. Okay, that's really good in the current barrier meta. So you have a way now to potentially remove barriers with the burn team, which can be very, very good. The only problem with this is it is a single target attack for this skill, so keep that in mind. And then for his special skill, it is an AoE, Lion King's Teaching Philosophy. Based on the number of burn stacks affecting the target, inflicts a increased damage taken debuff on him before attacking, which can be very good because look at this. 1 stack, you get 20% increased damage, which is like meh. 2 stacks, you get 75%. That gets better. And then at 3 stacks, though, 220%. So yeah, you definitely want to run him with other burn characters, and then he'll go nuts, right? And then dispels all stacks of burn from the target whenever you use the skill. And he also dispels a barrier before attacking with the skill, and it's an AoE. So yeah, this skill right here is his whole kit. That's what makes him so good. Like, that is insanely, insanely good. So when you get to upgrade priority, obviously it's going to be this skill. This skill is just freaking nuts. Okay, but we do need to run him with other burn characters, so that does kind of limit his uses, unlike Charlotte, who can just pretty much be ran on any team. Obviously, you want to run her on a technique team to get full advantage over silence, but even then, you could run her still on other teams and she'll be really, really good. So that's kind of what holds him back, is just that he needs to be run with a burn team. But besides that, as a character, very good. His combined attack performs a combined attack with your partner, dealing damage to the enemy. Attacks after applying 30% increased damage to yourself if an enemy is taking dot damage. Okay, I don't necessarily like this because they do have to be taking burn damage essentially for you to get that extra increased damage. So keep that in mind whenever you're using the combined skill. This is just kind of your average normal combined skill. It's not anything to write home about. It's not too crazy. His passive deals 5% increased damage per burn stack on the enemy, which is nice extra damage. And then his unique passive, when HP drops below 30%, gains immortality for 1 turn, and effect can trigger once per battle. Okay, so that is really good as well. He's just an overall solid unit. The thing that holds him back is he needs to be on a burn team, right? So keep that in mind with this Fuegoleon. I would say he is the second best unit here. And then the third unit, the final unit, is Clover Academy Jack. All right, let's talk about this character. So he's not bad per se. He's just not as good as the others. His primary skill, skill 1, is called 3-point slash. And he'll deliver swift slices to an enemy, dealing damage. It is a single target attack. He will inflict bleed, guaranteed bleed, on an enemy, dealing continuous damage for 2 turns. When the enemy is afflicted with bleed, has a 50% chance to stun him. Now, if that was guaranteed, ooh, Jack would be so much better. Okay, but it's only a 50% chance, so that's okay. Would work well with like Red Yami, who has guaranteed bleed, right? So more chances to stun could be decent. However, Jack is a green type attacker, so you might not be able to run him on like an all red team, obviously, which is what the Red Yami would be. Skill 2, I'll slice you up. Slices up an enemy, dealing damage, is another single target skill. Applies 1 stack of miscalculation to self. Miscalculation is when using the special move, additional attack at a random target per stack of miscalculation, up to 3 stacks. So that's actually pretty good. And then applies increased penetration level 2 to self for 2 turns, and applies increased accuracy level 2 to self for 2 turns. Okay, so that's honestly not a bad skill. And the fact that he's going to be able to attack multiple times on a special move, pretty decent, okay? And then for his special move, Golden Ratio of Severance. It is a single target attack, but once in, can have multiple attacks. Throws a giant protractor triangle at an enemy, dealing damage. Perform an additional attack per stack of miscalculated or miscalculation, dealing additional damage equal to 80% of attack and magic attack to a random enemy. Inflict stun for 1 turn on the designated enemy, so a guaranteed stun as well on the special skill. Really, really good. Like I said, if he had 2 guaranteed stuns, this would be the best character. But he only has a 50% chance there, so it is what it is. But overall, like, he's not bad, right? He's not bad. He could be a decent standalone unit. It's just the others are just crazy. And then for the combined attack, dispel barrier from the target before attacking, which is nice. So another character to remove barriers. Perform an additional attack, dealing additional damage equal to 30% of attack and magic attack on a random enemy. So it's honestly a fairly decent combined attack. Like, it's really not bad. Anything that removes barriers on a combo attack is good because it just gives you more options for what you want to do in certain scenarios. And then his passive applies 1 stack of miscalculation to self at the start of battle, which is nice. So that means you're going to at least get an additional attack if you use your special right away. And then his unique passive, when attacked, grants self 20% increased stamina. So overall, I think Jack is a solid character. I just think the other two are freaking crazy. So it makes it hard for people to be like, oh yeah, Jack is the one I want. And if you look at the ratings, right, Jack still is A tier for PvP. Like, he's not bad. He is B tier in PvE, but that's kind of understandable when you have the other characters. But him still being A in PvP at this point in Season 8 of JP and KR, I would say that's fairly decent. However, when we look at the others, right, S tier for Fuegoleon in PvP, he is still B tier, so that's about the same as Jack when it comes to PvE though. But then Charlotte here, S tier in PvP, and then she's also A tier in PvE. So take that how you will. Charlotte is the one you want to use your key on, and then if you want summon for the others, you have hopefully been saving. You skip the Kahono and Kyoto banner unless you were like me and you summon for them, but hopefully you guys have your tickets saved up. And let me know how you guys feel about this. Are you excited for Season 3? I am so excited for it to come up. And by the way, Season 3 will be starting as soon as the ticket banner goes away that we currently have out that still has the Season 2 units on it. So if you want to know how long that is, because it'll change depending on whenever you're watching this video, just go look at the banners that are currently in the game, and Season 3 will probably, hopefully, it should be starting right when those banners end. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.